Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to MediaViral. This is Fable. Today we have a top 5 on what I think is the best military aircraft that's in use today. Before we get into it, please leave a like and subscribe and share this with all your friends that you can so that we can get as many people in on this clusterfuck as possible. At number 5, we have the F-15 Eagle. This aircraft is probably the most commonly used air-to-ground machine that we use to wipe out the enemy in the Middle East. At home, we commonly use these for coast patrol. Typically, when we're guarding the coast, we use the F-15s because they are capable of doing air-to-ground, but they're also very capable of air-to-air in case we do run into, say, I don't know, Russian spy planes. That would be a time where you would be pretty happy that you have an F-15 in the air with missiles ready to take that bitch out of the sky. The F-15 is a Mach 2 class vehicle. It tops out at just over 1,800 miles per hour. That's twice the speed of sound. That's an insane amount of speed. Now typically at this speed, the wings are usually swept back, the armament's turned off, and this is probably with nothing on it. We're talking minimal fuel as well as probably no armament, no bombs, no missiles, no nothing. Now, speaking of our armament, at the front of this beast is a 20mm Gauss cannon. This thing is huge. Not as big as some of the other aircraft on this list, but it is still pretty big. If you imagine a 20mm bullet, that's not the casing included, that's just the bullet ripping through anything and everything that it's aimed at. Now on top of that, it can carry up to 4 Sidewinder missiles, or 4 heat-seeking missiles, or 4 electronic-seeking missiles. Yes, those exist. Because of its versatility, this is why the F-15 Eagle is most commonly used by the Air Force, because it will match any mission that we need it to, whether it just be patrol, whether it be attacking, or whether it be air defense. I mean, listen to this thing. At number 4, we have the FA-18 Super Hornet. Now this one I will just be pretty much reading off some stats off of online, which I'm sure you guys could do yourself, but no, you get to listen to my beautiful voice do it. The only reason I'm doing this is because I don't have a lot of personal experience or a lot of personal knowledge on this. The FA-18 Super Hornet has a max speed of 1.8 Mach. That is 1.8 times the speed of sound. It tops out at about 1,190 miles per hour. Fully loaded with as much fuel as it can carry, its maximum range is 1,275 nautical miles. That's a long ways for a primarily air-to-air combat vehicle. Its armament has one 20mm, there it is again, 20mm gun. You're going to be hearing that one a lot. Vulcan. This is just basically a smaller version of the Vulcan gun that's on the A-10, and we'll get to that one later. It also carries up to 4 air-to-air missiles on top of 2 Sparrow missiles. It can also carry a whole long-ass list of air-to-surface missiles, which is going to be something you're going to be hitting tanks with, buildings. But where the FA-18 is most commonly used is by the Navy, so it also has anti-ship missiles. These are the AGM-84 Harpoon, or a long-range anti-ship missile, also known as an LRASM. The bombs it carries are pretty much the same ones that everyone uses, JDAMs, which are unguided bombs, or you've got, guided bombs, laser guided, the typical crap. It typically also carries flares so that it can avoid missile fire, but basically what you need to take away from this is that the FA-18 is an air-to-air machine. It is one that is most commonly used by the Navy. We still use this most of the time in any sort of air-to-air combat. If the Navy's nearby, this is the plane you're going to see. At number 3, we have my personal favorite cargo plane, the AC-130. The AC-130, where it differs from the C-130, is that the AC-130 is made specifically to destroy anything that it is pointing at. It is ran by 4 Allison T56A15 turboprop engines. This giant machine is ran by propellers. This giant fortress is in the air with propellers. That's insane. It costs $210 million just to make one of these. This plane has a maximum takeoff weight of 155,000 pounds. The armament, starting at the big gun, is 105 millimeters. That's huge. That's like the size of a 2-liter bottle being thrown out of the air at faster than the speed of sound. Underneath that is the still not so small 40 millimeter. That's twice the size of the guns that have been previously listed on any sort of air-to-ground airplane. Now, we move down a little bit and we go to a 25 millimeter Gatling gun, which is still bigger than anything that the previous aircraft have been carrying. That's crazy. In one plane, you have enough armament to wipe out damn near an entire city. I mean, we've all played Call of Duty. Those aren't inaccurate. I mean, the 105 millimeter cannon going off, that's like a small bomb. You might as well just drop a bomb. This airplane is such a fortress that it takes 5 officers and 8 enlisted people just to run the damn thing. This is a small city in the freaking air. At number 2 is everyone's favorite, the F-22 Raptor. Now I know what you're saying. Whoa. This is number 2? That's right. This is number 2. Its primary function is air dominance multi-role fighter. Basically, when they say multi-role, that means that it can aim its guns at the ground as well as at the air. But it's primarily an air-to-air combat situation, which is why there's really only 183 in use today. Not a lot. They cost $143 million to make. That's just one plane. Its armament has a 20 millimeter cannon with 480 rounds. It has internal side weapon bays. It can carry missiles inside the wings. This is also what gives it its stealth capability. This plane is fast. This plane was built around fast. Everything is internal. Fuel is internal. The missile compartments are internal. Bombs, those are internal. Although it can really only carry 1 or 2 bombs at a time if it is going to choose so, which is why it's typically an air-to-air type deal. Its speed is Mach 2 class with super cruise capability. Basically, instead of giving an exact speed, because they don't want you to know how fast this is, the Air Force website lists this as only Mach 2 class with super cruise capability. So you know that it's going well over twice the speed of sound and cruising there. And like I previously said, it is stealth. It is covered with a stealth coating that is undetectable by radar above, I think it's something like 1,000 feet. I'll need to fact check that. The maximum weight that this thing can carry, not that really anyone cares about this, but hey, maybe you're a fact checker, is 83,500 pounds. Its fuel capacity is 18,000 pounds. So of that 83,000, 18 of those thousands is all just fuel. The range is not that amazing, but it's still really good for an air-to-air, and that's 1,800 miles. That's with external wing fuel tanks. So that's adding crap to it, and you gotta remember, when you add stuff to it, it loses its stealth capability. There's only one person that mans this entire thing, because it's made for speed, so you want as few additions to weight as possible. A fun little fact about the F-22 Raptor: when a missile is fired at it and the pilot sends it into an auto dodge function, it will dive at the ground, and right before it hits the ground will shoot straight back up at over a 90-degree angle. This typically knocks out the pilot, where the plane will then rise back up to a cruising altitude. It'll level itself out and continue to fly in autopilot mode. The plane will take over all of the controls, so if more missiles are fired, it will continue to do this dodging sequence over and over again until the threat is gone or the pilot has resumed control. And at number 1, I don't care what you say, I don't care how many stats you can throw in my face, the A-10 Warthog is the best flying tank in the world. Nothing can beat the A-10 at what it does, and that is why it is number 1. They tried replacing it with a newfangled piece of shit called the F-35, and that failed miserably. The A-10 is a low-speed tank, flying tank. It's commonly referred to as a tank buster because it has, and I quote, a 30mm 7-barrel Gatling gun. There's a reason they call this thing Bert. Only reach 450 nautical miles, and that's not loaded down. However, A-10s have never been shot down, ever, despite being hit by tank rounds multiple times. We've never lost an A-10. These things are tank busters. If you're an infantryman, you know an A-10 very well. You will know when it's coming, and you'll know when it's left, because there will be nothing in front of you. That enemy that you were fighting is now gone, thanks to my good old friend, Bert. Alright folks, that's going to be all for today's video. If you enjoyed listening to me stumble through this commentary, go ahead, leave a like, a favorite, subscribe, send it to your friends, whatever, make it blow up. This channel is not just going to be military stuff. I will be doing mostly military stuff, mostly police work, mostly guns and cars and manly shit like that. Anyways, if you liked it, make sure you check in later to see some more. I will be trying to upload once a week. I'm sorry if this was just brutal for you to listen to. This is my first one, so hopefully we get better together. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, hearts and minds, hearts and minds.